Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast, a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today.
Welcome to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. I hope you're well. I hope you're healthy. I hope your family and friends are well and healthy. I hope you're staying sane if you have to sit inside of your house in quarantine. I hope you're social distancing. I hope you're trying to find some positive in all this chaos. I have found some positive in it. I have some amazing stories to share with you today. People are still doing amazing things even though there is chaos outside, and I love to see it. It is so cool to be reading all these stories of, companies, people, just all these different things are coming together to try to help each other. We're all coming together to try to make the most out of this crazy, chaotic time that we are all going through right now with the coronavirus. But there is positivity and there is good news, and I'm here to share it with you. I'm here to hopefully, put a smile on your face, because you might be sitting at your house staring at a blank wall for a very long period of time, and no one can stay sane for doing that for too long. So I am going to bring some positivity for you. I'm going to, feel good stories. There's still lots of amazing, great things going on in our world. And let's take the time to focus on those things instead of focusing on the negative, because we're all definitely going to go crazy if we just let our minds focus on the negative. So I'm here to bring some positive. I'm here to bring some beautiful, feel-good stories to you. They're just gonna, make you feel better. I promise. Okay? So enough about any negativity. We're gonna do all positive stuff right now. I'm gonna start off with the fact, I don't know if you know this yet, but you can now tour 25,000 world famous museums from the comfort of your own home. This is pretty cool. So Google has launched this new service, and all of you art lovers out there, you can get your culture fix from the comfort of your own home. And I think this is going to target not just all the art lovers out there, but anyone that's might be sitting at their home for long periods of time. And that makes a lot of us, because there's not a lot to do in your household probably for, a couple weeks at a time. You might start to go a little bit insane. So why not check out some famous museums from all over the world? That's definitely going to be distracting. So Google Arts and Culture has partnered with more than 2,500 museums and galleries around the world. And it's basically like virtual tours. Oh my gosh, did I say 25,000 world museums at the beginning? I'm sorry, I meant 2,500 museums, and I wish there was 25,000. That would be a lot. But no, there's still a lot. 2,500 museums that you can virtually tour from the comfort of your own home. It's like online displays of like all their collection. Pretty cool. I think this is like such a cool way to do it. So the tour allows you to wander through all the interiors of these museums, and you get to see it as if you're walking around, but it's virtual, which is just neat in general, in my opinion. So it's kind of like a Google Street View feature, but it's in these famous museums all over the world. So why not check out a museum in Paris, right, while you're sitting in quarantine? So you can download the Google's free arts and culture app. So this is on any phone, on Android or iPhone. You can get this, and you can have this crazy museum experience. They're also offering detailed online collections of the masterpieces, just in case you want to get up close and personal with them. Like Van Gogh self-portraits, like crazy things that you can just see from like the comfort of your own home to distract you from the chaos. So the tech company has partnered with institutions as the Musée aux Arts in Paris. I did not say that right. There's some in Netherlands. There's some in Los Angeles, Florence, New York, like all over the world. You're going to find really cool places to go explore virtually. Can't complain with that. You can do this on your smartphone. You can do this on your computer, and you can just go tour around some pretty cool places. It allows you to kind of request the artwork from a specific topic too, so you can kind of search that up. You can send a text message to a text line as well. And it's like a service from the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. And if you send this like a text message, it says, "Send me SFMOMA." And this allows you to request the artwork from your specific topic. And then you can just like, so for example, it says like, "Send me New York City." And all of a sudden, all these museums will, like, come up with, like, masterpieces of their work, and if you can go virtually see them. And so, pretty cool thing that they're doing to try to, you know, keep people busy in this time. So, go check out some cool art all around the world. Might as well take a trip to Paris while you're sitting on your couch, right? Now, my next story is pretty cool. So, we all know that with everything going on, you know, a lot of people are out of jobs. Businesses are having to close. The U.S. Senate is, you know, passed a legislation aimed to helping business and families deal with the financial impact of the pandemic, because it's closed bars, cafes, restaurants, you know, so many things. It's affected. The closures in the restaurants, you know, this means that they're saying that 1 in 5 Americans have had a reduction in work hours or have lost their jobs completely, which is really terrifying. But people are doing some pretty cool things. And so at one restaurant, Irma's Southwest in Houston, serves Mexican food and Texas Hill Country Fare since 1998. And they got some pretty cool kindness from one of their regulars. He wanted to remain anonymous, but he left a huge tip. So on the receipt, he wrote a message to support and said, "Hold tip to pay your guys over the next few weeks." So he left a tip of $9,400, and this is just so he could, for the like employer could pay the employees over this period of time without any work. Pretty cool. So the tip is split evenly among the staff. Each worker is getting around about $300. One of them says, "This is beyond. I mean, I don't even have words for it. I really don't. It doesn't surprise me because they're so kind, generous people, and they always have been here." So that was Janet Montez, the restaurant's assistant general manager. The owner of the restaurant, Louis Galva, said, "We have to let our staff know that we may be off of work for 15 to 30 days, but the gift we got today should definitely soften the blow." So that was just last week. And so now all the staff are getting part of that tip to help them get through these times. Another customer on a different restaurant in Kentucky left a $1,000 tip for workers on a bill that was only $64. Pretty cool. It says, "Your family and staff have always taken such great care of us through the years. We know it's going to be a tough few months." He wanted to name anonymous as well, but I just think it's so cool to see these people really try to help out the restaurants that are having to shut down and the people, and just spreading that kindness wherever you can. So there's those 2 cases. There's another one that left another tip, $2,500 on a bill as well. The bill was only $29.75, and he left a $2,500 tip on it. This was the Coach's Bar and Grill in Columbus, Ohio. They were preparing to close up. because of everything going on, and one generous customer decided to leave that big tip just to help out everybody and just help what's going on. So it's definitely cool to see, those kindness acts come out in everyone's time of need, because a lot of people are losing their jobs, a lot of people are out of work, and so we can't all just go and leave a big tip like that at a restaurant, let alone we probably can't get into many restaurants at this point. But, that kind of kindness, that kind of like paying it forward, it goes such a huge way. Those people that are working in a restaurant, serving in a restaurant, they're working hard. And anyone that lost their job, everyone's working hard, and all of a sudden they don't have work. So spreading kindness is the most you can do. If you can't help out financially to the people in need, all you got to do is spread the kindness. Even, we got to be socially distanced, but be kind to one another, be kind to yourself, spread positivity, over social media, even if you have to, try to uplift some spirits, try to bring a smile to people's faces that are, being affected more than others maybe during this time. If there's just one thing that I could tell everyone, it's just be kind. And it's always be kind. I'm always saying spread kindness, but especially right now, kindness is so crucial for everybody's sanity, everybody's, just well-being. So be kind, okay? It's time for a little bit of a break. I have some more feel-good stories that are going to put a smile on your face, so don't go anywhere.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I got some more stories about some more people doing more amazing things to try to help one another during this whole COVID-19 outbreak and everything going on. So I have another one about a restaurant. It's about a chef. His name is Chef Jose Andres, and for years, him and his charity have been praised for feeding the world's most vulnerable people. And now he is turning his 5-star restaurants into food kitchens for families who may be having trouble making ends meet during the COVID-19 outbreaks. So the charity has already served up several thousand meals to students and families, just amidst all these school closures. So he announced that his restaurants will be closed to the general public until further notice, but the celebrity chef did say that the 8 of the acclaimed Washington, D.C. and New York City locations would still be serving gourmet food to out-of-work families and struggling workers. Pretty cool. So the soup kitchen employees will be asking for $7 per to-go meal, but for those who cannot afford to pay, we will welcome as well. So that is definitely going above and beyond and spreading some kindness during this time. So this soup kitchen will begin serving takeout meals. This was just starting last week, and it's going to be between noon and 5 p.m. All of his employees will be getting paid time off for the first 2 weeks of all this as well. Pretty cool to see employers, business owners, try to support their staff, try to support the people that they can, and just if they have the means to help out. So I thought that was pretty cool. Another business that's doing something pretty cool. It's a corner store, and they're giving away more than $6,000 in free goods to seniors that are preparing for quarantines. This is a Scottish convenience store, but they've given away thousands of dollars basically in free toilet paper, antibacterial hand wash, tissues, anti-inflammatories, basically all those things to seniors that are staying at home to try to, isolate from all the craziness and stay safe. So customers over the age of 65 and those with mobility issues facing self-isolation can either pick up the free goods at the day-to-day convenience store or have they call it the coronavirus kits delivered to their house for free by just calling the shop. Pretty cool. So the shop owner has already given away more than 1,000 kits. He says he hopes it's setting a good example for other consumers and businesses as shop shelves have been left bare from panic buying. Yeah, so do what you can and try to help out. He's also considering making food bags with pasta and tinned goods, because a lot of panic buying leaves store shelves empty and supermarkets struggle to meet demand right now. So that we've given away more than 1,000 now. That's just over the weekend. It's a time that we need to stick together. So this kind of all came to him while accompanying his parents to a local supermarket where they encountered, just so many empty shelves. And he says we have a lot of customers from the local care homes as well as disabled customers who can't get hand sanitizers, any disinfectant things. So they just wanted to be a good example for the world. They are a family-run store. They only employ 5 people. They've served the local community for about 15 years now, pretty crazy, and they've received a flood of requests for the coronavirus kits. It's kind of went a little bit viral, this little corner store, for going above and beyond and making sure people have what they need, especially the elderly that may not be able to get around by themselves right now and can't leave their house and need to be stocked up and prepared. It says we've done quite a few deliveries to people who can't get out and collecting. A lot of new people have been coming in, showing appreciation as well, and promising that they'll shop local in the future. There's been lots of nice gestures as well, he says. The appreciation we've been getting has been out of this world. You couldn't get this kind of satisfaction if you spent thousands of pounds. It is amazing. Very, very true. People are so appreciative of all the help. He said that the shop has been refusing to take donations for the kits, but they may reconsider accepting financial contributions in the future depending on how things turn out, where it kind of goes next. He says money can be made in the future. You don't want to make your money by putting your prices up in a situation like this. People will remember after all of this is over. Now, some kids put on a porch concert for their neighbor who is self-quarantined. She's an elderly, and this was pretty cool. There was a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, and they decided that they would put on a little concert for their neighbor who is having to sit there in self-quarantine and just hang out. So that's exactly what they did. Helena, who's self-quarantined, she's 78 years old, and she had to stay at her home. Obviously, she's trying to, not panic, and she says her anxiety is high and everything seems very scary. So this is when 2 young kids decided to put a smile on her face, on Helena's face, and they decided to do a little porch concert. There was a little picture and video. It was super cute, and they basically came out there. They did a whole surprise. They did some classical music. They had a little dance. They're singing. They basically just wanted to entertain their neighbor as best as they could in this time. I just thought that was pretty cute to see some kids, taking the initiative to entertain people that, need to be entertained during this time. So Helena says it absolutely made her day, being stuck in quarantine by herself at 78 years old. It's just scary. Her anxiety's high and nothing feels normal. But she says, having these 2 kids come over there and put on a little porch show from a distance, she says was pretty amazing, and it absolutely, made her day and added some positivity to it. So we all need to add some positivity to each day as we go through this chaos. I got another story for you. It's about cakes. To be specific, it's about quarantine cakes. As we know, businesses all across America, all across the world right now, especially small businesses, are really struggling to stay afloat during the COVID-19 outbreak. So one bakery in specific is getting pretty creative. It's called Butter End, and it's in San Francisco, and it normally caters to milestone occasions, kind of like weddings, big birthdays, but now they're delivering quarantine cakes. Pretty cool. So they're small cakes. They serve about 1 to 2 people, cost $50 each, and they come with a public service announcement on top, like wash your hands or don't touch your face. From hazelnut and chocolate, matcha and strawberry, salted caramel, chocolate, like all these different flavors. And yeah, this small business, they're calling them quarantine cakes. The founder of the bakery, Amanda, wrote her decision to start selling these cakes on Instagram. Because Butter End, her company Butter End, is only a few years old. She just had a little bit over a month of reserves before they had to close completely. She says the only way we survive is by creating value for our clients in a new way for the current day. People can send them to each other even if they can't eat them together. In times of social isolation and fear, it's human connection, acts of love, and comfort food that will get us through it. I definitely agree. I could definitely go for a quarantine cake. That's what we're all going to be doing. We're going to be snacking a lot these next few weeks. So that's exactly what she's doing. She decided to make quarantine cakes, and everyone that's purchasing these quarantine cakes are absolutely loving them. It's definitely a cool way, too, to connect with people that, like she said, you may not be able to eat the cake with them, but you can send a cake to a friend or something like that. Maybe put a smile on their day, smile on their face, and lift up their day, have some, positivity. So send a quarantine cake. Now, for my next story, I'm going to change gears a little bit. This has nothing to do with COVID-19. This is just a pretty cool company doing a pretty cool thing that I want to share with you. People are pretty happy with this new line of shoes from Vans. It's part of the brand's Autism Awareness Collection, and there's 8 pairs of shoes that have been developed with a focus on soothing the senses through sound, touch, and appearance. Since children with autism often have trouble tying shoelaces, this new line of sneakers is made of a slip-on models and shoes that can be fitted to the foot with a single strap, hook, and loop closure. So it's made exclusively for them. It says, since 1966, Vans has stood as a champion of individuality and self-expression. The brand's commitment continues with the release of sensory-inclusive footwear designs as part of the Autism Awareness Collection. Pretty cool. To be more inclusive to common sensory sensitivities, Vans worked with the International Board of Credentials and Continuing Education Standards to create designs utilizing Vans' comfy cush technology for all-day comfort and ease of wear for adults, kids, and toddlers. The company has also pledged to donate a minimum of $100,000 in shoe sale proceeds to the A-Skate Foundation, which is a nonprofit that's dedicated to teaching children with autism how to skateboard. I never even heard of that foundation. That is pretty cool nonprofit. But yeah, there you go. Vans is going above and beyond again and made a shoe exclusively for these people. It makes children with autism or sensory issues feel really special. And I love seeing companies create something like that can make people feel so special. Now it's time for a little bit of a break, but don't go anywhere. I do have some more stories to share with you, and I can't wait, so stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. We're back. I'm sharing more positive feel-good stories with you to brighten up your chaos right now. My next one is a feel-good one as well. Some Missouri deer hunters donated 350,000 pounds of venison to food banks across the state. So it's Share the Harvest program, and it's a goodwill mission that basically allows these deer hunters to donate part or all of their catch to charity. And it was an especially big success this season. There was 6,750 whole deer and 350,000 pounds of venison that were donated through the program, and they went to local food banks around the state. Pretty cool. I've never heard of anything like this before. I didn't know this was a thing. But it's lean, grass-fed, additive-free meat. It was tested, grounded, packaged, and delivered to food banks, all thanks to volunteers who organized more than 100 participating meat packing facilities. The cost of processing the meat is covered by numerous sponsors, just like including sportsman groups like Missouri Chapter National, Wild Turkey, government departments, just a bunch of different places that sponsor this. They say hunters started Share the Harvest because they saw a need in their communities, and humans remain the driving force behind this popular program that helps feed our fellow people who are in need. It says Share the Harvest is coordinated by the MDC and the Conservation Federal of Missouri, and it launched in 1992. So about 4.3 million pounds of venison ground, packaged, and sent off since then. 4.3 million pounds. That is so crazy. People always have something to eat, and it's nutritional value, and they are doing what they can to send this off and help other people. As I was doing some research for this story and I was just looking up some more things, there is another kind of thing just like this. You might have heard of it. It's pretty big. Hunters for the Hungry. They're pretty prominent in Virginia, Texas, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and annually, Hunters for the Hungry, there's 8 million pounds of venison is donated across all of the state chapters. It's creating over 2 million meals for Americans, which is pretty insane. This is a traditional way that they're kind of helping to contribute to less CO2 emissions as well, because hunting is one of the most environmentally sustainable forms of food production. So the carbon footprint from bringing this much meat to table is much smaller through hunting than if done commercially. So there's a bunch of positives in there. I had no idea this was a thing, but yeah, Hunters for Hungry is a huge organization, and then as well as the Share the Harvest program, they are getting a lot of food on the table for a lot of people. All right, and so I'm going to finish today's episode with something that I think everybody will benefit from at this moment. While I was researching the stories for today's episode, I found 16 tips for making your days at home pandemic positive. We got to try to look at the positive side here and make the most of it, make it positive and productive, and yeah, we have to make the most of it because we got no other choice than to do that. Exactly. So I just thought I would share these 16 tips with you, hoping that it can kind of spread some pandemic positivity your way. So number 1 is take that course you always wanted to take. Like I said this earlier, like there's so many courses that you can take online to educate yourself. There's so many things you can do. So go online and educate yourself with this time at home. There's Ivy League schools like Harvard, Princeton, Yale. You can take courses from designs, business, social sciences, anything you want. Everything's online. So yeah, take this time to educate yourself. That's number 1. Number 2 is color these printable pages. That's a pretty good idea to pass some time. You can print out those big color pages if you have coloring books and just start coloring away. It's also a really good way to de-stress too in a stressful time like this. Number 3, I mentioned earlier in this episode, but it's enjoy museums. So, Google Arts and Cultures has partnered with more than 2,500 museums and galleries all over the world. So you can do virtual tours. So definitely go check it out because you might as well be looking at a museum across the world from you and wasting some time that way. Number 4 is read a book. Definitely always a good idea. Just pick up a book and read. Maybe make like a goal of how many books you want to read before the end of, like in 2 weeks I'm going to read this amount of books. I don't know. Number 5 is organize small areas. Clean out and organize your junk drawer. Feels like a huge accomplishment. I have to agree with that one. I did do some spring cleaning in the midst of all of this, and it does feel good. Number 6 is clean your screens. Remove smudges and grime from your screens and keyboards. Yeah. Clean. Number 7 is talk on the phone. Since, we're all focused on social distancing and isolation. Recharge some old friendships that, maybe you're further away. Pick up the phone and have a phone call, or Skype. You do videos. Okay, number 8 is do the once a year jobs. Flip over and rotate your mattress so you can sleep better. Purge your phone of bad photos and contacts you don't want anymore. Dust the bookshelf. Clean out your clothes. Load up a giveaway bag. All good things that we don't ever really want to do or feel like we never have time for. Number 9 is make a pandemic playlist. Feel good songs only. I am here for that one. Number 10 is focus on self-care. Yes. Take the time to take care of you. Sit in a bubble bath, put a face mask on, and hang out, because there's no other time than to relax in the time of chaos. Try to relax. Number 11 is try a new recipe. Make something that you never have time to make, or just something fancy for fun. Try something new. That's always a good way to pass time. If you can get groceries from the grocery store for your new recipe, maybe try something simple. Bake? I don't know. Number 12 is sew those buttons or small holes. True that. We all have things that we kind of just push away that we don't really have time for. Fix those buttons, fix those ripped jeans, get everything sorted. Number 13 is take vitamins. We really will have low vitamin D, and especially if us are all sitting inside. It's definitely good to take your vitamins and stay healthy with all these things going on. Number 14 is do some puzzles. Traditional puzzles like crosswords and jigsaws, it's really good for your brain. You're exercising your brain. You got to keep it moving. You can't be staring at a blank wall for 2 weeks. So do some puzzles. Number 15 is write a good old-fashioned letter. I love this one. Write. Write a letter, reflect, journal, do all those things. Just write a letter to your friend across the world. Write a letter to your mom in your house. I don't know. Just write. And that's a really good way to pass time, I think, at least. And number 16, the last one, is learn an instrument. I have to agree with this one. I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take up guitar again in these down 2 weeks that I have and try to get in a habit of practicing that. There's no better time than now when you're stuck in your house for 2 weeks to learn a new instrument. Okay, well, that is all that I have for you today. I hope this brought some positivity into your day. I hope this uplifted your spirits, gave you some entertainment while you're sitting at home maybe, or whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Alyssa Jo. Doing a podcast like this that's just all positive and uplifting and feel good, it makes me feel good even when the world outside is a little chaotic. So I hope it makes you feel good as well and brings you a little bit of joy in while you're dealing with the chaos out there. Thank you, though, so much for listening to today's episode. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button, like and follow us on social media, and leave a 5-star review. Spread kindness, stay positive, and I hope you stay healthy and well, and try not to go too insane. There'll be more episodes with positive stories this week, so stay tuned. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from social media news to marketing news, and even weird news. The GSMC Podcast Network has you covered. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast.